This episode of Man of Prestige. Just, you know why life works that way? Because there's too many variables. And if you really want to be stuck on this fact over feelings things, you're always gonna fail because there's too many variables that you can pinpoint. You're always gonna fail at that. Okay? So with that being said, step 2 is that it will multiply. That's part of the cycle. Step 3 of the cycle is that it reciprocates. Okay, there's something about life, right? There's something called micro commitments. When you give into other people, they have this sense, this feel. If a normal person, I'm not talking about evil people. By the way, there are evil people in this world, but the truth of the matter is that you and I, we don't have to deal with them for the most part, okay? For the most part, they exist, but they are fewer, because if they're not fewer, the whole world will be chaos, right? The problem here is that when you have a bad experience, your outlook on life tends to be 4 steps. Let's talk about 4 steps: masculine versus feminine traits, entanglement cycle. What's going on? Welcome back. We're going to talk about the four steps. There are 4 things. There's a 4-step cycle that you have to pay attention to as a gentleman if you want to understand the masculine versus the feminine trait, masculine feminine dynamics, and how this works, especially with respect to relationships and romance. If you don't understand what I'm about to share with you, you will struggle in life. This is not just in relationship or relationships. Just because you've decided you don't want to deal with marriages and relationships anymore, which, by the way, that's all cap, by the way, caps all day long, right? Just because you've decided that does not mean you get to avoid this. If you try to avoid this, it's like trying to avoid reality. You can avoid reality, but you cannot avoid the consequences of avoiding reality. So don't hurt yourself. Don't create this massive blind spot where you say, I'm not going to deal with women anyway. No. You're going to deal with other human beings. And what I'm about to share with you, even though it's with respect to romantic relationships for the most part, is going to showcase in your interaction with other human beings. And your ability to master this will make all the difference. Okay? If you want to understand even entrepreneurship at its deepest core, right? At the very centered core, if you want to understand it on the fundamentals that makes business works and relationships productive, if you want to understand that, then pay attention to what I'm about to share with you. Step 1, give. Okay? Not give and take. Give. Okay? Basically what I'm talking about is where you need to apply your focus. Am I clear? See, a lot of people's attention and basically their focus is on give and take, which honestly, again, is cap. You're just focused on how you're going to take. It's a selfish behavior. Basically, you're much more focused on what you're going to get out of the situation, more so than what you give into the situation. And by focusing on that alone, you will hurt yourself. You will self-sabotage on some of the blessings and the rewards that life has to present, or that life has to offer, right? Because you're too focused on taking. When people say give and take, they're lying through their teeth. Basically, what they meant to say is take. They're looking for where to take. They're just saying, well, I'm not going to take anyway. I'm going to get to take anyway, right? Okay, then I can give. It's a lie. It's basically a focus on taking. So because of that, if you want to reprogram your brain in a way that will actually serve you, right? You want to make sure you're focused on giving and period. Okay? Giving period. I also say that with respect to the fact that you understand that this is only step 1 of 4 different steps of the masculine feminine trait. As a masculine core in the situation, especially with respect to this particular topic, you want to focus on giving. Okay? You want to focus on giving. Here's why. Step 2, the feminine energy multiplies. Okay? See, you give the seed, but then you give the seed because the feminine energy will multiply whatever you give to it. Okay? The feminine energy is not productive by itself. It needs seeds. A feminine energy does not become a chaos, right? Which many people call masculine. It doesn't become chaotic, which many people call masculine. Okay? You pay attention, right? It doesn't become that without you sowing certain types of seeds. Okay? It can become chaotic if there is no structure around it. We're going to talk about the structure part later, right? But what creates the structure is essentially the masculine core, the masculine frame in the context. Okay? Now, are there women that are naturally alpha females? Of course. If you can think about it, if the mind can conceive it, it exists. Does that mean you cannot manage it and actually like this person and be in a romantic bliss with this person? No, it doesn't mean that. If you think it means that, you've been soaking up the wrong gurus. That's what that means, okay? You're operating from a place of fear, and whatever you fear the most, unfortunately, you're still going to attract. That's the way life works, okay? It's just, you know why life works that way? Because there's too many variables. And if you really want to be stuck on this fact over feelings things, you're always going to fail because there's too many variables that you can pinpoint. You're always going to fail at that. Okay? So with that being said, step 2 is that it will multiply. That's part of the cycle. Step 3 of the cycle is that it reciprocates. Okay, there's something about life, right? There's something called micro commitments. When you give into other people, they have this sense, this feel. If a normal person, I'm not talking about evil people. By the way, there are evil people in this world. But the truth of the matter is that you and I, we don't have to deal with them for the most part, okay? For the most part, they exist, but they are fewer, because if they're not fewer, the whole world will be chaos, right? The problem here is that when you have a bad experience, your outlook on life tends to be, you reflect, you're using those lens to look at everything in life, and that's not how life works. There are bad people in this world, but most people are actually good people trying to just survive on any given day. Okay, that should be your outlook with respect to, yes, there may be some bad people, therefore you should not ignore red flags. Okay, but again, what are you reading as red flags? If you're reading everything as red flags, it could be a function of yourself and the fact that you need some healings, because no one is perfect in this world. That's a fact of life, including yourself. Okay, so step 3, as I said, is the fact that the feminine energy, not only do they multiply, they actually reciprocate. So they're doing more than even the masculine core right now, based on this cycle right now. Okay, they're actually doing more, but it starts with step 1. You set the tone. If you are supposed to be the masculine core, masculine frame in that relationship, like what I'm talking about could be any type of relationship. It doesn't have to be man to woman. I'm talking about masculine to feminine. Masculine is not equivalent to manhood. It's not. It's the social construct that we're in right now, the context we live in right now, that makes it seem that way. And I'm okay with that. It's part of the game, and you better learn that game so you don't lose, right? However, where we are right now as humanity, right, as a human race, the masculine core tends to be more appropriate when it comes to in a man, okay? And even in same-sex relationships, there is somebody who tends to bring the masculine frame into that relationship in order to create sexual polarity. All right, but it stops with step 1. Step 2 and 3 does not exist without step 1. Step 4, last but definitely not the least, is repeat. That cycle repeats itself if you can just take care of that first step. Okay, if you fail at the first step, it's chaotic. Okay, the feminine energy is chaotic without proper masculine frame to bring structure to it. Okay, it's chaotic, it's all over the place, and that's what you call masculine. And yes, we can call it masculine, right? But a woman, a typical woman in the generation that we live in right now, generally does not just become masculine unless she doesn't feel safe and secure, and she naturally feel the need to secure, and that's what you call masculine, including barking at you if that's what it needs, and if that's what she needs to feel safe and secure, right? So you need to be always aware of that. And because you're the masculine core and the masculine frame of that context, you can always, it's just a matter of skill set here, you can always, if this is in fact somebody you care about, you can always bring the feminine out of this person. How does it start? It starts with step 1, because the seeds that you sow is essentially what she's going to multiply and then reciprocate and then you have everything you have, and then it repeats a cycle like that. So if you do it, obviously you have to repeat a few cycles before it continues to work on itself, or seemingly work on itself, and then everyone will tell you you're just lucky, right? That's what people tell me. I'm just lucky to be married for 14 years to a very feminine woman. No, I'm not just lucky, right? Yes, I was lucky, but I also understand the concept today, and because if I did not understand that concept, eventually life itself will present chaos, and you will be tested. Your masculine frame will be tested, and I would have failed at least a few times, like some gurus online, right? And then I end up teaching you all of these negative vibes and things that are basically born out of fear, right?